Good afternoon, guys. Javier here. I'm in San Diego and got up pretty early this morning. I was up at about 7:15 and went to go have breakfast down at the breakfast lobby in the main office of the hotel. And there I was eating a bowl of cereal and trying to map out my day as to what I was going to do. And on my agenda, I want to go to the U.S.S Midway. My friend Eric had really recommended I go check that out. But it's a really, really dreary, rainy day. And it's very unexpected for people that are from here in San Diego. This is like really unknown to them. So prior to me deciding to want to drive out to the U.S.S Midway, I had gone on Google first and I wanted to see what was near me. And I had seen a beach by the name of Imperial Beach. And my friend Eric had told me about Coronado Beach, and there's another beach where the Navy SEALs train. But I decided to want to check out this Imperial Beach just because whenever I was coming into Imperial County, it just kind of stuck in my head. And this was just a little bit after I had met with that guy on the side of the road, Rodrigo. So I figured, you know what, I'm going to go check out Imperial Beach. They have a pier there, and for those that know me well, know that I really love to fish. And even though I don't have any fishing rods, I wanted to go check it out, just to go take a look at the pier. And while I was at that pier, I stopped. I got myself a cup of coffee because it hadn't started raining as bad as it's raining right now, but it was just like a light drizzle. And the weather is kind of cold. It's like 60 degrees. Nevertheless, I walk out onto the pier. I'm with my hot cup of coffee, and I come across two guys and just started talking with them, just asking them what type of species of fish they catch over here, and what they use as bait. And it was pretty interesting. They use all artificial lures and whatnot. And they did have a little bit of cut bait. I'm not sure what bait they were using, but some type of fish. And it definitely wasn't mullet or anything that I'm used to. Some kind of little fish. Anyhow, we're out there and we're talking, and we start sharing a little bit about one another after I started asking them about the fishing there. And I had told them, where I'm from, for the most part, to have any really good luck, you need to have some either fresh live bait, or freshly caught dead bait. And they prefer using just regular lures. So that conversation turns into, where I'm from, and I told them why I was in San Diego and why I was, visiting. And I told them that I was on this, this path to get, kind of find myself and to get closer to God. And in our conversation, one of the guys, his name's Arturo, we start talking and sharing a little bit about himself and his testimony of how he came closer to God. And he was visiting some family in San Diego. I got to meet one of his cousins, which his name was Ivan Sanchez, if I'm not mistaken. And Arturo did tell me his last name, but I can't recall. But anyways, Arturo was from North Carolina visiting some family. He had already been here in San Diego for about a week. And they're really enjoying it. They were going fishing on a whim. They didn't even plan it. It was just from one night to the next, hey, let's go fishing. So they went out there, and earlier in the day, prior to it starting raining, they were catching some fish, and then they had moved spots. Well, as we're talking and the conversation going, Arturo's telling me about himself and, his family and how he came to get to know them. So Arturo was raised by his father, and he didn't know his mother growing up, and he'd been on a quest to find her, and they looked everywhere for. Not only was he looking for his mother, but his family, they were looking for him, and they tried all different names and surnames, and they could not find each other. Make a long story short, they eventually do get a hold of each other, and he meets his family, he meets his mother, and I think he had said he hadn't seen her in 20 plus years, and he was telling me about his faith, and he was telling me that his father used to drink a lot, and he had said a prayer for his father, and from one day to the next, his father makes a decision that he's going to stop drinking, and he does, and he hasn't drank since. So we're talking about God, and we're talking about miracles and blessings, and how he's been saved by God. And I have a conversation with his cousin Ivan, and we're sharing about each other, and both of them are telling me that you have to put your full faith in God. And Ivan tells me a story about a time when he was younger. I'm not sure when this shooting happened, but there was apparently a mass shooting at a movie theater. I want to say he said it was in, I don't know if the name of the theater is Coronado or if it was in a city called Coronado. I'm not sure. But he had told me that he was planning to go to the movies with his family. And for whatever reason, something came up, and he just couldn't go to the movies. And he was really bummed about it, really PO'd that he wasn't able to go to the movies. And just so happened that the very day, at the same movie that he was going to watch, at the same time, that there was a mass shooting in that theater, and his mom had told him not to go to that movie theater. And just by the grace of God, he didn't go. And he looks at problems in his life that after experiencing that he doesn't sweat the small stuff anymore. Something happens, disappointments always happen to everyone, but you just don't know what's ahead of you. And that's a very, very moving and powerful story. At least it was to me, because just calculating what the odds of something like that happening are astronomical. And I'm not a math guru. I wouldn't even know how to calculate it. But to hear that story, both of those stories, and what brought them close together, them as cousins, enjoying a day, even as dreary, cold, rainy as it is, they still found joy. They still managed to have a great time with one another, building that connection, building that bond with one another. And that to me is like awesome. I look at myself, and I look at my cousins that I just finished visiting with in Nogales, and I can count them on one hand the amount of times I've seen them in my life. But for those 2 days that I got to spend with him, it was really, really awesome. And I really enjoyed spending time with my cousins and my uncle and my aunt, and getting to know his family, like my cousin Ernesto's sons, and all their successes. And I look at my cousin, and when he had taken me to that Cerro de las Sierras shrine. My cousin's not Catholic, and his wife is, but they are. He is a very faithful person, and looking at my cousin and hearing his experiences, having grown up, and I can see that he has God's favor. Throughout his life, he's had some phenomenal accomplishments that he's been able to get through and to be able to experience. And just some of the stories were just so awesome to listen to, all the experiences that he went through and all his successes in life. It really, truly is really beautiful. And getting to know his family, his wife, his sons, it's like I'm learning about a family that, truly, even though in name, we knew of one another, we really didn't know one another. And even though it was only for a day, it was really awesome getting to spend time with them and get to learn about all of them, and hearing stories about my grandparents that I didn't even know. Seeing photos that I'd never seen. Not once growing up did I ever see a picture of my parents' wedding day, and my cousin Laura showed me a picture of him, and I'd never seen it. And it's just really, really awesome. And you see these two guys that I had come across. Two cousins that didn't know each other, and now it's almost as if they're best friends. And what's funny is that Ivan was supposed to go to work and didn't, because he said, the heck with it, I'm gonna go fishing. And if anyone that knows me, if I had a choice between going to work and going to fish, I would choose going to fish any day. And I'm really glad that God put him in my pathway, and had such a really good conversation with him. It was really, really awesome. And just want to show you what I'm going over. I'm going over a bridge, because where I was at, Imperial Beach, was basically like hugging the coastline of the Pacific. And now I'm going over the bay, heading to this U.S.S Midway. Nevertheless, back to the story, is it's really awesome seeing and hearing these stories from complete strangers, and just some really genuine people that I have been meeting. And after that, I have a conversation. There was a guy that was standing on a rock with some pigeons, with some birds, and they were all surrounding him. They were on top of his arms, just a really, truly magnificent sight. He was like a bird whisperer, and his name was Luna, and just a really fascinating individual. He could speak a little bit of English, but he spoke Spanish. And I held a conversation with him for close to 40 minutes. And as wet as it is, I got drenched. But I could not pull away from listening to him and listening to him share all of the wisdom that he had. And it was just truly a really beautiful conversation with him. And I didn't ask him anything about the birds, about why he was doing it. He told me that he was one with nature and one with God. And one cool aspect about him, he has family. He's lived just about everywhere here in California, Tijuana, and he's lost a lot of people in his life, and he lost his mother, who he truly cherished. Her name was Margarita, and he truly really did love his mom. And he put her on a pedestal, he said. And he's telling me a story about his wife who passed away, his mother who passed away, his daughter who passed away. And he's had tragedy after tragedy that has come into his life, and he still keeps the faith because he feels that Jesus is number one. And seeing him interact with those birds, I mean, just to gain the trust of a bird, one bird, let alone a herd of them, 15, 20 birds that he had. And there was one thing that stood out of those birds, that there was one golden one. And I've never seen in my life, have I ever seen a golden pigeon. I mean, I've seen albino pigeons, but I've never seen a golden one. And he had one of those birds. And he would do these claps, and these birds would come to him, and he would stand on rocks. He stood on the ledge of near the pier, and this was after I'd already had a conversation with him. I asked if I could take a photo of him for what I was doing, and he said sure, no problem. So he got up on the pier and took some photos with those. I took some photos of him with those birds. And one thing that really stood out in that conversation, because he had told me that he'd been hassled by police. He had all his stuff, so I was assuming that he was homeless. But when I asked him, where do you usually stay, he says, this is my home. Where he's staying, he said, you're in my front yard. And I mean, he was well dressed. I mean, he wasn't out of he didn't look like he was homeless. Just looked like a regular guy. And it was truly awesome being able to interact with him. And he told me how he had some feathers in his hair, bird feathers, and he had some feathers, kind of like a Native American earrings. And he told me that he was native, half Mexican ancestry, and he was from Mexicali originally, but he's lived all over this country, all over California, but he prefers San Diego the most. So he's telling me this little bit of wisdom here, where I hope I get this right. If someone knows the true saying of this, correct me if I don't get it right. But from what I recall him saying, he says, "Los que deben no se buscan la tema," or something like that. Something around the lines of those that owe shouldn't have to be afraid of paying a debt, or something of that nature. And just kind of really stood out to me. Just, you don't hear that kind of stuff. And it really stood out. And he's telling me all these different stories. And after I asked him, I told him, it's been a pleasure. I needed to get to my next stop, which is where I'm heading now, which is the U.S.S Midway. And I don't even know if I'm going to have enough time to get to it, because it's already 4 o'clock. I think they close at 5. And Uh, Sorry, this is a really, really steep hill, and it's raining. He's telling me about, after I asked him if I could take a photo of him to document it, I had, because he had a cell phone and everything, and I'd asked him if, because he has a Facebook account, and I told him if he happened to have a YouTube account, if I could put his picture on there. And he said, yeah, no problem. So he went to go gather those birds. There was a huge sand sculpture that two guys that he knows that live in the neighborhood dedicated this sand sculpture for him. And the picture that they made, or the sculpture, was signifying a Native American woman who he told me that was his mom. That they did it in dedication to him, to his mother. And I assume they showed him a photo, or if he showed them a photo of her or something. But you should have seen the sand sculpture. It was absolutely beautiful. I did take some photos of it. But it was just a really magnificent piece of sand art. And I was just kind of floored by it, and how everything tied together. And whenever I'd asked him his name before he got up to gather those birds, he told me that he goes by a lot of names, but he responds to Luna, which means moon, or translates to moon. And he's wearing like a dream catcher pendant on his neck, around his neck, and it's black and white. And he tells me that the reason that he goes by Luna is because on the black side it signifies, it signifies death. It signifies evil, or something around those lines. And then the white, of course, means peace and goodness. And he tells me that he named his daughter Gris. And I'd asked him, why did you name your daughter that? And he says because of who he was at one time, that all he knew was bad, or doing bad things. And he changed. He never did drugs, he never drank alcohol. And he says that the reason that he wears that is not only for protection, but he wears it in remembrance of his daughter, because her name was Gris, which means gray. And I just thought that was like really not only interesting, but this is some guy that's at a beach, and he's not talking to anyone. I mean, even after, when I'd seen him, I was walking into the pier, and he had a lot of those birds around him. Afterwards, he was just by himself, walking around the park as if, not a care in the world, just really taking in all of the nature and the beauty of the ocean waves. And I needed to go talk to him. Something was calling me to go talk to him. And I went and I talked to him. And after I'd taken those photos of him, I ran into another family. It was a husband and wife. I know the woman's name was Marguerite. They were from Germany. And her husband, I believe his name was Neil, if I'm not mistaken. And they had a friend of theirs who, his name was Federico, from Italy. And they were all visiting together. And the reason that they were there was because Marguerite, at one time, lived near there, or her father, I believe, lived near there, and they had a home not too far from where that pier was, and she remembers going to visit it as a little girl. I don't know if her father was in the military or maybe after World War II, because she was fairly, at least in her 70s. I don't know if after World War II, they were running cooperative military stuff together. I'm not sure. But she remembers visiting it as a little girl. And the reason that they were there, it was kind of a little remembrance to her father. And it was really, really interesting. And she's asking me about me because she saw me talking to the gentleman with the birds. And I told her, I said, this man has a lot of wisdom, because she was just curious how all those birds, how he managed to befriend all those birds. And she was just truly in awe because people were gathering around him, and it was just really, really interesting interacting with him. And she asked about me, and she sees my cap. She says, "Oh, you're from Texas. Are you just visiting here for the day, or are you moving here?" I told her, that I was visiting for a few days. And I was just taking in some of the sights, and I tell her a little bit about my journey and why I'm there. And she was really intrigued by it, and I kind of shared a little bit about myself, and I shared a couple of stories because she asked, out of all the people that I've interacted with, who's been the most interesting. And I told her that's too hard to really say that one interaction is better than the others. But I told her about the most recent one with the gentleman Rodrigo that I helped out just yesterday. So it was the freshest on my mind, and I'd be there for hours if I shared each interaction. So I told her it'd probably be easier if I just give you my YouTube, so you could have an opportunity to explore all of the different stories and get to learn a bit more about me. And just a really, really fascinating family. And before I left, I had wanted to give some money because it's New Year's, and I felt that Luna could have used some of the money that I had, and I wanted to not only thank him for his time, but give him an opportunity to get into a room or something. It's rainy, it's cold, it's not the best weather, but I wanted to pay him back in some way. And I felt the best way that I could pay him back would be to I felt the best way that I could pay him back would be for me to give him a little bit of money that would make his day a little easier. And sorry, it's because I got here to the Maritime Museum and the U.S.S Midway. I figure I could give him a little bit of money to help his night, even if it's for one night, or buy a couple of other things to make his life a little bit easier, especially being at New Year's. I would want someone to give me a helping hand that way. Nevertheless, I went back to look for him after I finished talking with Marguerite and her husband, and I couldn't find him. I walked all around that park. I could not find Luna anywhere. I walked to my truck figuring, well, maybe he got out of the rain and is under a techo somewhere, or a little rooftop, or not a rooftop, but a little shelter of some kind. Could not find him anywhere. I drove down because I wanted to drive a bit further down the coastline, and stopped at a little park just to kind of take it in, because it overlooks Tijuana, where this Imperial Beach is. And I drove back to that park, that pier, the Imperial Pier area, and I could not find him. I went to go have a slice of pizza. After I go have 2 slices of pizza, I drive back again to see if I could find him. I couldn't find him. I don't know what happened to this guy. I had some money in my pocket that I was going to give him, and even before he got up to give me the opportunity to take a photo of him with the camera, and after I talked to those people, as he was passing me, he gives me like just a little look, like kind of like a thank you, have a good day type of goodbye. And he was gone. And I don't know where he was, where he went. I asked 2 other people that were in some bicycles under a little covered area. They had like a mock-up of a Christmas decoration there. I might have gotten it in my photos. But it offered some type of protection from the rain with all the tinsel and everything. And I asked these 2 people, and they think that I'm completely crazy. I said, did you see the guy with feathers in his hair? And they're like, no. I said, are you sure? I said, because all his stuff's right here. And she says, the lady, or I guess the wife or whomever, they were there on the bicycles. She was like, no, sir, there hasn't been anyone there, and we've been here for quite some time. And I'm like, okay, this is really, really weird. I don't know where Luna went, but I really want to thank him for his time, and I wish I could have given him just a little bit of something to make his day a bit better. And he was like truly happy. I don't think I've ever met a more carefree guy, and I think that's where his little saying in Spanish comes into effect. Is he felt that he didn't owe anyone anything. He didn't have any debts holding him down, and the only people that have to worry about things are the people that owe, and he owes no one. And that's why he considered that area his home. He wasn't going to have anyone take him out of his home. And he told me that he'd been hassled by local sheriff's department or park patrol or whomever, but they really don't mess with him. He doesn't have anything to really mess with him for. But just wanted to share that. And I know that some of these conversations are really, really long, but I think the best time that I can say them is immediately after it happens, because I'm very forgetful. But just wanted to share this. It truly has, even though it has dreary, rainy, miserable day it is, you expect to see sunshine, and it was supposed to be in the 70s, and the weather, I checked before I even came here, and it was supposed to be clear up until Thursday. So I think this is another one of those moments where God's putting these people in my pathway. And like I said yesterday, as much as these people, they might not be asking me for help directly, but I'm willing to offer it. These people are in turn helping me. And I think that's truly how can I say it? Truly amazing to me, I guess is the best word that I could say. That I'm being able to interact with all these people. It's just been one heck of a day, and I got to give it up to God for putting these people in my pathway, because just some of the best stories that I've ever heard, and I wouldn't be doing any of this had all of these things been put into motion. And I'm truly grateful for the people that God has put in my pathway, the enlightenment from being able to interact with these people, the grandeur of everything that I'm seeing, nature-wise, historical-wise. It's just been truly a very, very awesome experience. And a lot of this, it's like it's as if you're studying for a major midterm. And I know I haven't gotten the test yet, but all these people that have been along the way are kind of like my tutors, and they've definitely helped. And I just wanted to share that. I'm going to get off here. I'm hoping that I might have the opportunity to get in the Midway. It is really miserable. It's 4:23, and honestly, I don't think I'm going to be able to make it. There is like a little boat here, the Star of India, and I've heard of this boat before. I know it was what's it called? A spice trading boat, if I'm not mistaken. But it's got the U.S. Navy, and the port of San Diego is right here. You can see, I don't know if you can see it, it's pretty far away, but you see the building there of I assume it's a Navy base over there. It says Flying Navy on it. Just a really, really awesome sight out here. Might have to come tomorrow. Hopefully it's not raining so I can take some more photos, because I don't think I'll even have the opportunity to see much. The museum closes at 5, so nevertheless, just wanted to share this. Hope y'all are having a great afternoon here, and I genuinely want to thank you all for listening to me, and I definitely look forward to the next opportunity to come across someone and really get to know them. Nevertheless, peace. God bless. Have a great rest of the day, and a Happy New Year.